When you start making billions of dollars, you're exploiting somebody. So Red Summer TV starts making billions. We need to regulate. If I become a billionaire, I would want to be.
I don't know where Elon be at, but I know where he be at.
If I start making billions, I need to be regulated. Yes. Yeah. The only way we can rob Elon is if we rob the government. The only way we can rob the government is if we stop paying taxes. Welcome to What Just Happened. I am Alexa Leighton. I'm feeling great. I don't know about y'all. I'm here with some new faces, some new illustrious faces for episode 14. We don't do 13, so it's episode 14. Please introduce yourself, lovely cast members.
Well, it's your boy Javon Johnson, Brooklyn, New York, comedian, writer, actor, Go Knicks.
Love it.
It's your girl Susie from BK, talking to you things about all over Brooklyn. And of course, I'm from Brooklyn.
Nice.
Rapper's native.
And I'm Marlon Rice. I'm the founder of Good People NYC and the famous Stu Set Block Party series. And I'm also a candidate for State Senate District 25.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Good luck on that, too. Good luck on that.
Thank you.
I know you're from Flatbush. I'm from Flatbush, too.
Hey, what block?
In the house. Hawthorne.
Oh, I'm from Beverly.
Oh, okay.
Yo, only Brooklyn people do that. Yo, what block?
Exactly.
Brooklyn people get intrusive. Right. Because when you say you from somewhere in Brooklyn, you better be from somewhere in Brooklyn.
They for your address.
Right. Like, what block you from?
Want them receipts.
Susie, that was so Brooklyn.
Sorry. And she from Flatbush, because Hawthorne, that's in the bag.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But my area is getting gentrified pretty quickly now. Like,
yeah.
Whole Brooklyn.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like, wow, there's so many white people in my building. It's crazy. But anyways, let's jump into the main thing. Let's just get right to it. We know why we're all here. We are happy that the Knicks have won.
Woo.
They've taken home the championship.
Right.
Finally, 53 years.
Right.
5 decades. That's almost a generation. Okay?
Oh, it's a couple generations.
So, shout out to the New York Knicks. It feels so good to be a New Yorker. How are you guys feeling?
Amazing. Like, it's unbelievable, man. I remember watching the Knicks with my mother, and she was such a Knicks fan, diehard Knicks fan, being glued to the TV one time, and she's smoking cigarettes at the time. Her robe caught on fire, right? We always talk about this, no lie. And my peripheral fan, I'm like, Mom, your robe's over. She like, these damn Knicks. I didn't even notice I was on fire.
Oh my God.
So it's just like that's, the years of being a Knicks fan and almost getting there and not making it and just being patient and dedicated. So I'm just happy, man, that we finally did it, man.
Yeah, that's how I feel. It's like, I'm 51, so I've never seen a Knicks championship, but we have been so captivated by the Knicks over our lifespan. The Charles Smith bad layups, the Patrick Ewing finger roll when he should have dunked. 94 with OJ that jinxed us. We was up 3-2. Yeah. Then in 99, they were supposed to beat if you're a Knicks fan and you're my age, you've been so captivated by this team and its failures that to see success just feels amazing. Right? And I feel just as good for like Patty, Allen Houston, Latrell, all the old heads that was out there last night.
Too.
Yeah, I feel great for them. Yep. You know what I'm saying? That they get an opportunity to experience what it feels like to have a winning Knicks team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I started working at Madison Square Garden in 2009. Wow. And it was, the only way we had a job is whenever the Knicks was playing. So when playoff season was coming around, we would look forward to we making it and finishing the playoff season. And every year would be like,
let down.
So this is like, finally.
Yes.
Very historical moment for New York, for NBA. Like, this is an amazing feat. Them boys played their hearts out.
Yeah.
That last hour? No, not even that last like 3 minutes. I was nervous.
On the edge of your seat.
I was
like, please.
But I'm going to tell you something. Every game,
it's been like that.
They were down double digits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Every game. In fact, Last night's game was the first time in halftime they weren't down double digits.
Yeah.
So at halftime, I'm like, oh, they got this.
I
Like,
was
they only
good,
down
too.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, they got this.
One
It's
thing
not a
about the
problem.
Knicks, you can't get too comfortable.
You can't get too
Oh, yeah.
comfortable.
Get too
Yeah.
comfortable. Be like
Yeah.
right at the last minute, you like, man.
Is it just me though, or did y'all notice that the NBA was trying to get this series to go all
Of
seven?
As
course, we all
always.
saw the
Right.
ref.
The refs
doing
were
the
horrible.
When
Horrible.
when Wemby stuck his hand through the net
Oh, my
and
God.
they didn't call it,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is some
Yeah.
like they really like
Yeah.
this is some straight up. But through it all, we made it.
Yeah, we
Can't
definitely
stop
made
destiny.
history.
And shout out to Jalen Brunson. He put the team on his back
He
last
did.
night,
Yeah.
man.
Points.
45
He
points.
did.
Put the
Scored
team on his
45
back.
in an away game to win the chip.
Come on,
I don't
man.
know.
Where do you put him as a Knick? Top 3?
You know what's funny?
Top 2?
Kendrick Perkins said last night after the game, he said Jalen Brunson just solidified himself as the best Knick of all time. I think that was a little bit of a hot take and so soon.
Right,
I know we hype off the
we hype.
win. I wouldn't say number 1, but definitely top 3. You know, you gotta have Pat in there.
Right.
You know, maybe people say Clyde or Willis Reed.
Right. Somebody that won a chip
Yeah,
before.
won a chip before. That third spot got to go to JB.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
not,
yeah.
who?
I'm going to tell you something. He scored 45 points. I think the rest of the team scored like 50 or 49
Yeah.
Bruh,
points.
listen.
Like, he controlled the game. He dominated in this series. He dominated all year.
Yes.
I don't know if he won us a chip. Like, I don't know if you can put anybody other than Patty ahead of him. And even that is like ceremonial because it's like, yo,
What
Patty
he
was
stands
us.
for.
Patty was a
Mhm,
Jamaican
Jamaican.
in New York
Yeah.
playing
Yeah, man.
basketball. Play ball like a Jamaican,
Yes.
dunk like a Jamaican, right? So
Yes.
we loved Patty because
Yes.
he represented the best in Brooklyn specifically.
Indeed.
And, but it's ceremonial because I don't think we've ever seen anybody do what Jalen. We haven't seen anybody done anything compared to what Jalen did last night and in the entire series.
I agree. And shout out to Pat, like you said, had all the games looking like the yard man with the hat
like,
cocked to the
looking
side.
like somebody uncle.
Yeah, probably had a
Every
red
game.
stripe, you know
right.
what I mean? Yeah,
right. You know what I'm
representing.
saying? Like, we adored Patrick Ewing because in the 80s and 90s, he looked and felt like what Brooklyn looked and felt
Definitely
like.
did.
You know what I'm saying? So
Definitely
he's
did.
going to always get top of the top.
Oh, yeah,
for
that's
me.
top spot, without
But
question.
Jalen, bro, 45 points to win the chip.
Not only that, we got to shout out to the fans.
Oh,
54% of those ticket sales in San Antonio
Yeah, they tried to
were
cut 'em off.
Knicks fans.
Yeah,
They tried
yeah.
to cut him off. They tried to cut him off.
Yo, we traveled
Yeah.
like crazy the
We
whole
are a
playoffs though.
traveling team.
Going to imagine being a player, you at a home game and you look in the stands and you see the opposing team jerseys and colors
Yeah.
all in the stands. That gotta
It's
make you
tomorrow.
feel
Yeah.
like
It's
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Philly
It
went through that.
does. Oh,
When we
yeah.
played Philly in the
Yeah.
series,
Yeah,
Philly
yeah,
went
yeah,
through
yeah.
that.
Yep.
You know?
Crazy. But go Knicks.
Go Knicks. And shout out all my Jamaicans too.
Big up yourself.
All right,
Yes.
All right, keeping it within the sports and politics lane, Trump and this UFC fight at the White House. Are we officially ghetto yet? Because they love to call black people ghetto, but Trump is ghetto.
At this point, you could do anything at the White House.
You can
For
do
sure.
anything.
It's
You
a
can do
venue.
anything.
Ghetto as hell,
So there's a
right?
thing to be said about how this is connected to like the January 6th uprisings, right? And in America, you now have a significant group demographic that wish to find ways to desecrate everything that we know as American, right? If you think about it, 14 years ago when Obama was president, if he had put a boxing ring in front of the White House so that Floyd could fight,
You'd been called ghetto.
yeah, do you
Okay.
understand how criminal that would have made him?
Ghetto.
But
Yes.
we've moved so far away from the American values that we know to be true 20, 30 years ago. And we understand that America has always been designed and steeped under the lens of racism. But we've moved, like, I fear that people will normalize this type of behavior.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I fear how far we're gonna go before we swing the pendulum back. Did you see it though? Did you actually see the stadium?
Yeah.
I saw it looks
That
crazy.
shit looks
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Look like a scene from The Boys.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? To
that
show the
shit's
boys.
like The Boys.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
we living in right,
Right.
now. He is Homelander.
It's hyper real.
Yeah.
It's a hyper realized version of the worst in Americans.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed.
And there are so many things that were overlooked with this whole construction of this stadium. I was reading the article about how, first of all, people were saying how UFC fights shouldn't be held outside, right? There's the dehydration issues because it's summertime and it's 90 degrees. Not only will the fighters at risk of dehydrating, but the fans too. Then there's this huge light fixture that they have that is going to attract thousands of gnats, like thousands of bugs. And I'm forgetting his name right now, but somebody
Dana White and Joe Rogan were both saying, who both love Trump, right? But Dana White is a CEO of UFC. He was even saying he's worried about the bugs and all that because he had went to visit Trump and there was so many just gnats everywhere. So imagine, you know, at a UFC fight outside, there's gnats all over you. And for the fans too, like that's uncomfortable. But listen, they got right now their white Republican Coachella on the White House lawn. You know, that's what it looks like. You know?
It'll be interesting to see who shows up, like celebrity-wise, who actually shows up and supports this. Because The Rock was invited, you know, a bunch of white actors and, you know, famous people were invited. But some of them have said to have declined. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see who actually shows up to this. It'll be interesting to see what the results are, like what the fan sentiments are afterwards. Like, what
I really fear that this is the result and the decay of what the digital age and social media is becoming in our lives. Like, it's to the point where likes and comments and content rule over things that should be considered, I don't want to say you know, like the White House is a monument of America, right? And, you know, you agree or disagree with the history of the country. Like, this is like almost, would you do something like this at the Vatican, or would you do something like this? Right? Like you have to, there has to be boundaries in place with regards to how we have deference over the heritage of our, you know, and I'm speaking again from somebody who understands that this is a very complex history and relationship that Black people have had with that White House and with America. Still, what's happening though is if we allow us to devalue things, what else becomes devalued is the question.
And you made great points. I'm sorry not to cut you off, but it's like, even if you look at the office of the President of the United States, holding that office, that used to be held in such high regard. But now it's almost like a joke, you know what I mean? Because it's almost, you look at the president, to me, is like, you know, now you could put that on the same level when in the hot dog eating competition at Coney Island, man.
Like,
it's crazy.
You know, what's the value behind it? What's the honor behind it where the current holder is willing to put a claw-shaped cage match on the lawn where people, you know, came with real, true American value issues? The course of the country was shaped and reshaped multiple times by things that have happened on that front lawn, and you devalue it to the point where you want people fighting.
It's a mockery.
It's a mockery. And again, like, because when you say the celebrity things, I'm assuming, I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of celebrities are gonna show up. And why are they gonna show up? They're gonna show up because the light is shining on this moment. And people want to be a part of the light. People want to be in the likes, comments, shares, and notifications. And that's taking the lead over doing what's right, you know, and you know, and I just worry about, like I said, where we are going as a nation if someone doesn't speak up or draw a line and say, well, listen, this is like, you know. And it's going on in our communities too, on a local level. We deal with things in our community that we need to have people really shine a light on, because we cannot continue to go in this pathway and think that it's going to end up right. Our kids are watching, right? And our kids are watching.
And that's the sad part. And let's not forget to add all that about who's going to come. Let's not forget, this is in celebration of Trump's 80th birthday. So, you know,
his birthday is today, I think, right?
So let's not forget. So, as petty as he is, people are going to say, listen, I got to be there, because Trump the kind of president like, oh, you ain't come to my little birthday celebration? I got you, you know?
Well, I mean, he a Gemini, so I get
it. Exactly. That's Gemini energy, and he got to do it big like that on his birthday.
Like, bro, you're 80 years old. Sit your old ass down. Yeah. Like, if you don't go on a cruise like all the other old people and get out of our face.
Come on.
He'll probably be asleep like how he was at the Knick game he was at. He'll probably be asleep at the joint.
You need rest. Go lay down somewhere on a beach. It's not enough for you to just go to freaking Turks or Bora Bora or wherever.
I'm also concerned, like, if today is UFC show, what's tomorrow?
That's what I'm saying. What comes next? Like, when we gonna stop it? When are we gonna get to a point where you're like, wait a minute, we too far gone?
It's too much.
It's never gonna get that point. We already crossed that line when we elected him and then elected him again. I'm not saying we.
When they
elected him again. He's a reality TV star.
Right.
This is what he does.
I also
puts on shows. Right. He's not a president.
Right.
Like
I think it. His election. We didn't have the best candidate to oppose him at the time.
Well, I certainly
anybody
don't think we have one.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody would have been better than him.
I'm just saying Biden was not capable to be in that role of president at that time.
Well, this is what I'll say. The election come back around in 28. And
that's the White House calling you right now.
Yeah, right. They're like, yo, chill, Susie. We're going to cut your eyes.
I hear you.
That's the White House calling you right now.
Like,
your FBI agent watching.
We don't have a lot of time. The midterm elections come up this year, right? Primaries in New York are June 23rd. The general elections the first Tuesday in November. And then we roll downhill to the next presidential elections. And what I don't see and what worries me is that there's not this fierce urgency of now. You don't see people organizing and bringing forth a candidate, a platform that can push back against what is the true and living complexion of America. America looks much more like this UFC cage in DC than it looks like, anything that we hope to raise our children in. And that's a very, very concerning thing. So you're right.
So let me ask you a question about that. I agree with everything you said. Do you think now people are once again so demoralized with Trump being reelected again in the state of our country that now people are saying, like, it don't matter. I don't care. I'm not going to try to get people together to vote or come out for primaries or be involved in a, political process just in general because of what's happened?
I think what we're dealing with in America from a country level, right, is this widespread malaise or kind of apathy. I think we're in a space, and again, the digital age contributes to this. We're in a space of I, not in a space of we, right? And so if I'm taken care of and I can care for my family, then I care less about what's happening outside of the timeline on my phone, right? And because of that, we're slowly separating from one another in terms of ways where we would organize and be out in the street to support like mechanisms of democracy. We no longer in that space. And so the people that are in that space are either on the far, far left or the far, far right. And they are both fighting the same battle, which is to take control over the situation. And the rest of us are unfortunately dealing with a malaise, so to speak. Like it's just, it's really, apathetic and really slow to kind of understand. It's like the frogs or crabs in a barrel of frogs. When you boil a frog and you turn the water up incrementally, the frog doesn't know he's boiling until it's too late. I think that's where we're at as an entire country. Like we're looking at things like immigration. We're looking at things like the continued gutting of things like voting laws, of federal programs. I know nonprofits that have had to go out of business because Trump stopped all of that federal funding, right? And so, but we're still sitting here like, just existing. And so I think we got to get to a point where we're willing to put our lives and our livelihoods back on the line, because that's how you change things in America. If you look at the history of America, nothing changed unless people were willing to die for it. Like they were willing to put their lives and their livelihoods on the line to say, this is the line in the sand that I draw. And I don't think we're in that space, because creature comforts in the digital age make it. I'm guilty of it too. Like I was ordering Instacart the other day, and I was like, damn, Marlon, the supermarket is right around the corner.
Yep, I literally stopped ordering Instacart.
Like I had to come to my, like, wait a minute, bro. Like you don't even, this is, you're adding to the problem by doing this, right? So I think, we gotta, we have to find a way to wake up. And until we wake up, I think we will continue to devolve.
I wanted to say something. I think we have kind of woken up, and I think Mamdani is a great representation of being woken up. We had the biggest turnout. That election, everyone was talking about it. It was nationwide. That started a trickle effect in different states, like Arizona, New Mexico, where people were trying, like local level mayors, to like doing the same thing. And I think everybody's trying to just change their style of what politics look like because of how Trump is going about it. You gotta be able to be engaging and try to get the new generation. And it's unfortunate that we have a president that, his focus is more on his like and status. But like, we gotta get to the meat and potato, like how are we helping the people? Even when he said recently, when they asked him, hey, the price of gas is going up. How do you feel about the wars going on? He's like, I ain't worried about the middle class right now. Like, that's just so insulting.
But that's the thing. He doesn't care about people
All
that
of
aren't
them don't
wealthy.
care.
That aren't.
Elon Musk
that's real.
just made $1 trillion.
Oh yeah, he's a trillionaire.
Yeah.
It's literally up to us to figure it out and create our own salvation. There's so many distractions though. Like even shout out to the Knicks, but even these sporting events are distractions. The Super Bowl, like all of this UFC fight, all of it is distracting people because what's the saying? You give them bread and something to do. I know I'm this thing.
Nah, but I used to say
entertainment and people are good. People forget, Bad Bunny's performing. Oh my God, the world is saved. It's a historical. Who gives excuse my French, who gives up about Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl?
How do we fix that though?
It's our attention spans. The real currency is our energy.
They calling you again. He calling again. Every time you say something about politics, he gonna get you. I just want to know, just because I'm sitting next to her, you know what I mean? That's her,
So I told somebody last night, as much as I love the Knicks, and as much as I'm celebrating this moment, the Knicks are owned by James Dolan. I know. And he's aligned with Trump.
He invited Trump to the game.
So that just proves that it's very complex and nuanced.
Yes.
Right? There is no linear answer to this thing, right? Because our consumerism and our creature comforts allow for this thing to be contorted. Right? It's very difficult to be fundamentally aligned with anything the way things are, right? So I think I agree with you. It's about finding a new way. But I also think, man, we got to pull back. So like, for example, we got to pull back on AI. Like enough is enough. Is what I'm saying, right?
Google was enough.
Yeah, enough is enough, right? And I believe that AI needs to be a tier 1 political issue for any federal, state, and city legislatures to look at it and really make some hard, because we're getting to the point now where we may not be able to control the outcomes of it, right? But also it go back to that cycle where it just allows us to be less than human.
The only way we'll be able to control the outcomes of this AI age is if we prevent it from going forth smoothly. Do what you want with that statement, but we have to interfere with the rollout of AI.
My graphics
so
guy
however
said
you think that, whatever you think that means, that's what I'm saying. Like,
my graphics guy said he don't get no work no more. Everybody doing
AI.
AI
flyers, man, and they look the same.
I said I still
they all look the same.
I'm never gonna do any AI flyers, bro. I still pay you that little $75 for these little graphics.
Because them AI flyers are not good.
Nah,
they're ugly.
Listen, I was on a flyer for a show, right? The dude sent me the flyer. I'm like, who is this with? That's not me, bro. That's not me.
I'm running for public office, and I've been invited to do debates, and the flyer for the debate is AI, and my opponent don't look like himself. And I said, I don't even know if this is legal. Can you do this?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So yeah, man, it all ties in though. It's funny, Susie, you said this man is 80 years old and he's a social media president. He's on Twitter at 12:30 in the morning.
Crazy.
He's having Twitter beefs. He's beefing with Stephen A. and This is a wild time we live in. Man.
Crazy, unprecedented times. But again, it's our energy that's the real currency. And so we have to avidly work. I know it gets exhausting, but we have to literally wake up every day knowing that our energy is the true currency. Money is not even real, for real. Our energy is real. That's the true currency. And when they have your energy, that's what basically props them up. Like, we have to find ways to extract our energy and point it in a direction that's works for us and our betterment instead of theirs. So
I'm telling my landlord that on the first though. Money ain't even real. So why you borrowing. Why I got to pay
I
rent?
mean,
Money ain't even real,
ask
brother.
Elon, he a trillionaire.
He said, "It's my energy. I fucks with you. See, I'm giving you my fucks
You
with
know what I'm saying?
So
I'm living in your building. You know what I'm saying? My energy.
There
If
we
you ain't
go.
happy here, then you wouldn't have that.
What is rent? Come on, ain't no fucking rent. Yes, thank you for that.
That's
But
hilarious.
moving on, let's get into some other news, a little lighter news.
All right.
So Rick Ross was recently catching flack for a flying commercial, Frontier to be exact.
Oh, God.
And
It was Frontier.
It was Frontier.
It was Frontier.
Frontier.
And he said that for the ones who want to know where my jet at, obviously didn't get the memo. It's being updated with Starlink.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what Starlink is? Yeah, that's the $500,000 Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's where my jet at. And I choose to fly commercial to go to Colombia to go party with Trick Daddy and Ball Greasy.
On Frontier, though, fam, I was embarrassed to be on Frontier. I did a show in Atlanta, and a promoter put me on Frontier. I was like, dog, Frontier?
No, Frontier is terrible because you got to pay for water.
And
that's
listen,
why,
the seat does not
seat
recline.
is straight
Well,
up.
that's
You
why
are
it's
like
called
straight
Frontier.
back the whole time. Frontier is terrible, bottom tier
Y'all
airline.
tearing Ross up.
But I'm not mad at how disconnected are you to be mad at someone for flying commercial.
Yeah.
You know, a
that's what I'm
PJ
saying.
costs, these people don't know how much flying private costs.
Yeah.
At bare minimum, a PJ costs probably one way 20 bands.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Bare minimum. And that's before the fuel prices went up. Now you gotta pay the pilot, you gotta pay the flight attendant, you gotta pay for the fuel,
Right.
you gotta pay for their hotel stays because the pilot and the flight attendant gotta go with you and stay in that same place as you. Like, it's 20 bands, minimum.
That's bare minimum. Yeah, it's more like 40, especially
you know what I'm
the
saying?
G550.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
also,
that's a lot.
depends
Oh,
on
you live
how
on a
far
private jet.
you're going.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
I've been on one, and I was like, how much does
Sorry,
this
get me messed
cost?
up. I told you I'm running for office.
Right, okay,
You
right,
like
right.
G5. You real
It's okay if you was
specific.
invited on
So I
one. You ain't
heard.
right. You didn't charter it yourself, so it's okay. You know,
My opponent gonna use this against me.
He on
flying a
PJs
private
and
jet.
all
He's
that.
not-
I think
for
it's
y'all.
crazy, yo. I think it's crazy that a community that still needs resources to survive and, are living, with substandard conditions across the board, we care about this other than it goes back to what I'm saying about what news is. Like, it's the new definition of news.
Yeah.
Like, Rick Ross flew commercial to Colombia.
Big deal.
Now, I don't like Frontier either. Let me be
That's
clear.
what I think it was.
I don't do Frontier.
Yeah.
So that's what she said. I was like, oh, Frontier, I may
Nah.
have to get in this. But listen, we could only hope each and every one of us to have the life that we can provide for ourselves where we can travel.
Yeah.
Travel
For real.
is a luxury.
Yeah.
That is not a necessity.
Oh, for sure.
I know people, I swear to God, ain't leave the 5 boroughs and they my age,
Yep.
right?
wow.
So God bless them for being able to, afford to travel and whatnot. But also it's like, it speaks to the consumerist nature of hip hop.
Yep.
Because hip hop is so hardy when it comes to consumerism. Yo, I got this. It becomes a battle that when you're doing something that's still in the range of luxury, like going to Colombia is a luxury, you get chided for it because you flew commercial.
Right.
That just shows you how f***ed up hip hop is at
It
this
is.
point.
And mind
It
you, people
is.
talking they probably ain't even been to Colombia.
Yeah,
oh,
and
this
no
is
got
true.
no
This is
funds
true.
to get
Right?
over there.
Right? Have
Like,
you been to Colombia? So it's this like very braggadocious, very hyper masculine, thing, very consumerist thing that they get caught up in, and so now they got to uphold that, and that is dangerous because at the end of the day, what the goal is when you talk about Black celebrity and Black success through celebrity and athleticism, they want to wipe the money away from these cats.
Yeah.
They don't want these cats to leave the game with any money, right? Be it through arrest and conviction, be it through tax liabilities, you ain't paying your taxes, or you just pissing off money,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's the goal. Unfortunately, the system wants you to leave the game how you came into the game, which is broke. I used to be the GM for Milk River. And
remember.
At Milk River, yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so
Forgot
at
about
Milk
that place.
River,
Beautiful
I really
venue
got
that
sick. It was
closed,
an
too,
amazing
man.
venue. We
Yeah.
did amazing things over the time that I was there. But it became very sickening to see our young Black men spending thousands and thousands of dollars on bottles every day. And like, you kind of get glazed over it, right? Because you go to clubs too. And I've got sections and bought bottles as well. But it's one thing to do it occasionally. It's another thing to see, to be sitting in a club and seeing tens of thousands of dollars being extracted from your community over shit that you're going to piss out the next day.
I never understood that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, hip hop feeds this consumerist market where we actually think it makes sense to talk about this cat flying commercial.
Yeah.
Right. But also they live in a system that's highly volatile to them.
Of course.
Where if you're not careful, you're really 1 or 2 years away from falling back into poverty.
Yeah.
And after having riches, like if you look at Adrian Bronner,
sad.
what he's going through, that's a very
Sad.
sad situation. You know what I'm saying? And it's still being marketed for likes and
Of
clicks.
course.
But it's very sad. So I'm actually proud of Rick, man. Fly Frontier, bro.
Well, let me
Like,
ask
fly,
y'all
man.
this.
Fly,
Let me
what's
do
the
y'all
other one?
think.
Spirit, Fly Spirit.
At least, listen, I'm
Spirit's gone
saying,
now, so.
I think it was a big deal too. People looking at it because of the airline too. It was Frontier.
Yeah.
When I flew Frontier, man, the pilot ain't even have on a uniform. He had on
Right.
basketball shorts and a white tee.
Right.
I'm like, you the pilot? You know what I mean? He
Right.
said, yeah, I got you, shorty. I said, what the hell
You
is
gonna
going
get there in
on,
one
fam?
piece. Don't worry about what I got on.
Right.
You gonna
Come
get
on.
there.
Yeah, Frontier
Honestly,
is
though,
crazy.
I think but to speak to that though, when you fly Frontier, you got somewhere to go because that's
Oh,
never
yeah.
anyone's
That's
first choice.
never
Yeah,
loved.
not at all.
That was probably the only flight that he could get that was good for his schedule. So he was like, "Okay, I'm getting on Frontier." Because when you fly Frontier, I flew on Frontier once. I had somewhere to be,
Yeah.
and Frontier was the
Yeah.
only flight that I could
Got
take that's
you.
gonna get me there in that time frame.
Yeah.
And so, hey,
There's a couple things I don't do. I don't like layovers. So I
Me
really
neither.
when
Yes.
I try very
Hate a layover.
hard to not
Need a
have a
straight
layover.
flight.
Yeah.
And I don't fly airlines. I'm 6'4". I need space,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So you're absolutely right. If I'm flying Frontier, you guarantee I got to be
Yes.
somewhere. Because
Yeah.
I done gave up a lot of my creature comforts to even be on this plane.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
But
Fair
I
enough.
think that with the whole Rick Ross thing, another thing is Rick Ross is one of those rappers that's always talking about, hey, I'm the biggest. Right now he
Yeah.
call himself both
Right.
biggest of all time.
Mhm.
Always talking about money. You know, making fun of other rappers saying they broke, showing off his houses and cars.
Yeah.
So if you the biggest, why you flying Frontier?
Yeah,
So
but that's
people
the-
gonna eat that up.
That's the brand.
Yeah, people
He's-
gonna kill it.
Rick Ross is fat. Everything gotta be big. Like that's the brand. You know what I'm saying? But when the cameras are off and I'm trying to get somewhere to go hang out with my nigga, if I gotta get on Frontier, I'm gonna get on Frontier.
Right.
Yeah.
Mind y'all business.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm
feel
like,
I wonder the person that caught that picture, I wonder if they got paid. And the reason why I asked that, because I remember paparazzi days. So does paparazzi even exist anymore
Of
in the way?
course.
Because now
Barely.
everybody has a phone.
Yeah, not
Everybody
like
catch
how it
content.
used to,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
but
not
it
how
still
used to.
exists.
But so years back, I used to work at a spot where Madonna used to live across the street, right? And so whenever Madonna was in town, a whole group of paparazzi would like hang out in front of my building, and they're waiting for her to come out so they take pictures. And I had a conversation with the dude one time, and he was like, "Nah, we get real money for these pictures." Like he told me about a picture that he got like $750,000 for that he
Yeah.
had caught.
mhm.
I wonder if the person that took that picture of Rick Ross, did they post it and they ain't get no money for
probably
it?
ain't get no money
Or
for
did
it.
they sell it to like a
Hope
TMZ or
they
something
sold
for
it.
some chicken? Because like that, it went viral and it's on now. It created an entire firestorm. What I'm saying is I want my paparazzi and my cameramen not to be exploited. So whoever took that picture, they need to get a little chicken for that
Right.
because they created a very viral moment.
course,
You know
of
what I'm
course,
saying?
definitely.
They probably didn't, honestly. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they ain't getting no money. They posted it on their
Yeah.
Facebook. or
Because
their
they want to
IG.
be, and
they
like
wanna
you
be
said
liked, man. They
earlier,
want
we
that light.
likes
Yeah,
and going
it's the
viral.
Remember,
energy.
currency
Yeah.
now
The
is no
energy.
longer only money. It's
That's what she said. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
it's
energy.
the likes,
Yeah,
the
it's
shares, comments. You know, they want the exposure.
They want
so.
the exposure.
Indeed.
Shame on that, man. You could have got some chicken for that. That was
Yeah.
that was
But-
one of them pictures.
Speaking of consumerism, Musk has become the world's first trillionaire. What does that say about society?
Yo, greediness is disgusting. Disgusting. I don't think anybody should have that much money.
Nobody
Once
should have $1
again,
billion.
money is not
What are-
real.
what are we
So
doing?
what are we
Right.
talking about? Money ain't even real,
Well, to
right?
speak on the money isn't real. So he's amassed this fortune through a lot of different avenues, but the bulk of it has been through the government, and us, our
Yeah.
taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
And then also, I didn't know that there's this thing. It doesn't exist anymore, but So you know how you have to get your car checked for emissions, right? It has to be, below a certain level of emissions, right? So there was a government program back in, I want to say maybe like 2012. I may be wrong. I have to go back and check the article. But basically, because Teslas are all electric cars, they don't have any emissions, right? Like they're not emitting anything into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And each car company has a certain amount of emissions credits, right? So here's another thing to like, money isn't real, right? They created this, created this credit system, right?
Program.
And your car company can only produce cars and emit a certain amount of emissions, right?
To get approved for the program.
But because Tesla, their cars emit nothing, all of the other car companies have to pay Tesla for their emission credits.
What?
And that generated billions of dollars for Tesla. So that is also part of his fortune. Like all of the other car companies had to pay Tesla
for those credits
because, if you run out, you can't make any more cars.
Wow.
So that is also part of his fortune and how his fortune was built. Other car companies having to pay Tesla so that they can make their cars. Then on top of that, the government grants. He's gotten billions of dollars in government grants. Then, our taxpayer dollars. So there's a lot that's gone into this fortune. But point blank period, this is just a dystopian ass society. Like the
Trump's
world
America.
hunger still exists even in America. And we have trillionaires running around. Like he's worth more than most countries.
Yes.
And that makes no sense.
I think somebody should rob him.
Dang.
Like, I think we got to go back to
your phone about to start ringing now too, man. Your phone going to ring.
I'm in line with that, but it got to be more than just.
No, I'm saying it tongue in cheek. But what I'm saying is, if you've amassed $1 trillion,
that's bananas.
You should be demanded of to return. Like that.
Yes.
That is. Like when you talk about oppression or systems or mechanisms of oppression, if you have $1 trillion, you literally have enough resources to give back to entire nations, to build resources and operational unity with entire nations. If you choose not to do that, we should rob you.
Yeah.
Like we should literally find you and demand that you should not be able to walk. Where does Elon walk the streets? Like where he be at?
I don't know. He probably
Like, driving cars.
Where he be at? Right?
Yeah.
Like I see he be posting on Twitter. Am I the only one that still calls it Twitter? Y'all call it
No,
Twitter?
I call it Twitter.
I call it Twitter too.
I've
Right?
never gone X.
But how dare you even say something like that and expect like the poor and impoverished people of America to not have you on the radar? Like I swear, if he go to the Met Gala, wherever he be at, I want my brothers there because we have to. Like this goes by what I'm saying. Like who's willing to do the thing to push back against the thing that's suffocating us? This ain't something to be celebrated. Like this is war. It sounds like you tell me you got a choice. It's war. Where's he at? Right?
But he got the
Nobody's willing to
president.
do it.
He has the president in his back pocket, right? So a lot of his wealth has come from, like you were saying, grants from the federal government.
Right.
Even NASA gave him $278 million, I think, in 2006 when his company was failing.
Right.
Yes.
So when you could do business and not have to worry about failing or any financial responsibility, you can ultimately, clearly in this country, amass $1 trillion with people out here starving, homeless, globally. So in Trump's America, if you look the right way, you got the right complexion, and you can do it.
I want to play devil's advocate here because Elon did this in capitalism, right?
Yes.
In the capitalist society that we live with. If a person is able to amass a great deal of wealth because of their ideas, their talent, their skill set, their ingenuity, their innovation, should there be a cap on their ability to get and to obtain because of their skills? Because the one thing about Elon, I mean, Tesla's a vibe. Like the fact that he was able to be the first one to come out with these electric vehicles and manipulate the system, like you said, where people are paying for his carbon credits and whatnot, his emission credits. Like, each one of us also have a brand. You have a brand that you put forth effort to that pays you a revenue. You have we're sitting in a brand, right? So the question is, what is the ceiling, right? So what if, for example, Red Summer TV starts taking off and starts to make millions and billions? When are we going to hold accountable? Like, at what point does the conversation change from people like us who trying to get to it? And then like, yo, listen, you're going too far. We're trying to get
different
to it.
rules for different people.
They say that once you start making 25 times the amount of your expenses per year, you don't need any more money.
25
right?
times.
So once you make 25 times, like you make $80K a year.
Right.
If you make $2 million,
having the good information.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Because I be thinking about this. Like, if you make $2 million, then you have reached financial freedom. Now, obviously, your yearly expenses can increase or decrease per year.
Right.
But 25 times is like the barometer for when you don't need any more money. You've reached financial freedom.
I'm over here like my Con Ed is 138.
Yeah, I'm doing it back too.
Yeah.
Where the fuck I'm going with this?
I know how much I spend a year because I use the app to track that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 25 times. And I think everything needs to be regulated. Yes, everybody should be regulated. So Red Summer TV starts making billions.
We're going to get Malik.
We need to regulate.
Yeah.
If I become a billionaire,
I know where Malik be
I
at.
would want to be.
I don't know where Elon be at, but I know where be at.
If I start making billions, I need to be regulated. Yes,
Yeah.
because it's exploitation. Once you start making billions of dollars, you're exploiting somebody and something to get that money.
Absolutely.
And we're being exploited. The only way we can rob Elon is if we rob the government. The only way we could rob the government is if we stop paying taxes. That's like the first. That's the first step. But everybody's too scared to stop paying taxes. Well, they can't arrest all of us.
Right. And that's a big political issue in the state now is tax the rich, right? And I don't understand for the life of me why there is pushback on this concept. Right. But what I'll say is there needs to be an entire systemic way in which we go about it, because the thing about rich people is that they understand tax code, right? And so it's not enough, right? So because Cuomo taxed the rich as to shorten the gap after the COVID pandemic, Cuomo raised taxes like 1% on like top earners, right? And said, okay, well, this is going to get us this amount of revenue. I don't believe that that's a fair enough way to look at it. I think we need to look at overhauling the tax code itself so that how every human pays taxes is different. And in that way, we can ensure that we capture the revenue, right? Because it's exploitative. And what happens is in our communities, we're dealing with a wealth gap already. The black median house income is 10 times less than the white median house income in New York City. Right. So it has to be like, I agree with you. Like, we got to stop it. Like, not just stop it at the pass, but create an entire piece in our tax code, which ensures that people like Elon pay his fair share. Right.
But that'll never happen. But that'll never happen because the people in power are all benefiting from what we have in place right
rich
now.
People benefit from the tax code.
And
Trump said
of course, I'm about to say, with his presidency, like, he's amassed billions and billions of dollars since he's been the president. It's a business for him. And when you have crooks on the top making the laws, they gonna benefit their people. You know what I mean? So the middle working class and minorities, we gonna continue to not have because we don't know all the loopholes or we don't have the connections to know all of the tax tricks and all that. So it's systematic, as corny and cliche as that sounds. This is systematically done to keep those who have up there having and us down here struggling. You know what I mean? So when it's demoralizing and sad, because it's like, when will it ever change, or will it ever change? Looks like no. You know what I mean?
So to be clear, Elon, do he ever be in New York?
I know.
And this is why you got to vote for Marlon Rice.
You ever be in New York?
Man of the people.
Because we got to have a conversation. $1 trillion?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I don't know where that weird looking man be at, but we definitely do live in two different Americas. Especially considering what's happening with Carmelo Anthony versus Austin Metcalf. The decision was handed down, and Carmelo has been convicted guilty of murder and sentenced to 35 years. And then also, Metcalf's father has been on social media being a racist.
Talking crazy, being
a racist, calling him names like watermelon felon. I'm not sure why white people think the watermelon thing is an insult still, but
Watermelon is
okay.
excellent. I love
It
it.
is.
Love watermelon.
Yeah.
You're never gonna steer me away from watermelon. I eat
No.
watermelon every single day.
Just make sure it's watermelon
Um,
with the seeds.
with the
but-
seeds.
But there were also no black jurors
I heard
on
that.
the case, and then also Anthony's parents used a white attorney in belief that it would be more helpful for him.
Right.
What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, me, I'm not surprised at all how everything, turned out, because once again, we live in two different Americas, right? And black lives truly don't matter in this country, even the lives of black children, right? Situations like, the situation with Carmelo, it's really tough, because when you dive deep into the whole story, it's a lot of moving pieces, right? But it all comes back to our lives have no value, especially our children.
Yep.
Years ago, we started the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm like, we need to start a movement called Black Lives Don't Matter. Just to get people to understand how we feel as black people in this country. For, a mother, she's trying to strategize. She knows what her son is up against. So she's like, I got to get a white attorney, you know what I mean? And try to maybe he'll know maybe the best defense for my son, and then they set us up, no black jurors at all. It's supposed to be a jury of your peers, but they'll say in the law that has nothing to do with color. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just sad, and it kind of takes me back to, like, you think about things like the 16th Street church bombing, right, in 1963, where 5 black children lost their lives in Alabama. That case was closed because the FBI felt like basically it was no reason, no necessary. Nobody was convicted in that until 1977, right? So when something like this happens, it just makes me think about how this country has constantly showed us that our lives and the lives of our children do not matter.
My sentiments on this are that black people need to stay out of predominantly white spaces if they can, completely. We need to divest from whiteness in every way that we can. Stop sending your kids to predominantly white schools. I know you can't help that you go to work with predominantly white people. You got to get your bread. But anywhere in life and society that you can stay away from predominantly white spaces, you need to stay away, because black people are not safe when surrounded by white people. They're just not. We're not. Our kids aren't. And that's what it is. You can't even defend yourself in a predominantly white space without it coming back on you. And black people need to start accepting the jury duty. Say yes to the jury duty, please. Because
It's true.
I understand it's inconvenient, but you ain't got going on for real. Like, you can take a week off and do that damn jury duty. Because when you go to jury duty, they ask you a series of questions to see if you're eligible to be a juror on the case. If there are no black people, and we know that black people are the highest incarcerated rate in America, right? There's more black people in jail right now than white people are. That's just facts. So what do you think is going to happen if yet another black person is taking something to trial, and because black people don't want to do jury duty, all the jurors are white? You think they're more likely to stay free, or are they going to go to jail?
Yeah.
Black people, we need to start doing jury duty. We have to help each other stay free because they're locking us up. The slave catchers are re-enslaving us.
See, the thing is, we really got to start in our community, like block by block, community by community. Where was this? What city this was in? Carmelo's piece.
This was in Texas.
It's Texas.
It's in
I know
Texas.
it's Texas, but like, what you said? What was
Frisco.
it?
Yeah, Frisco,
right?
It's probably predominantly the county.
It's a county. It's predominantly white. The blacks there probably not just disenfranchised, but detached from community, from one another. We have to be intentional about building and restoring our own communities and using civic engagement. So both the things you said were right. We all should be going to jury duty, but also when any place you are with black folk, you need to begin to have meetings, block and tenant meetings, church meetings, where you begin to find mechanisms of protection for yourself because you are not safe. You may be safe in Brooklyn, but in a place like Frisco, Texas, you are not safe.
Yeah.
And this idea that we don't live, because we live in a post-civil rights society, does not mean we live in a post-racial society. If anything, racism is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And so every part of what America is designed to attack and violate us, our human rights and our very life. We gotta be intentional. I talk about little things like wearing your friends, right? So one thing I do a lot, we have a lot of vendors like that come to Stoop Set or whatever, and I wear those shirts, Roots of Brooklyn, School Milk. These are friends. These are people that got designs, Silver Fox, BK, and I wear their stuff intentionally because I want to help support. We got to lower our footprint in white America.
Yes.
Yeah.
How
That's
we
a
spend
bar.
our money, where we spend our time, where we spend our attention. We got to lessen that. And if we begin to think in that way, we can, and I'm not saying that this situation could have been helped, right? He's in a city where, like you said, unfortunately, there's an all-white jury pool, right? He's not going to get a fair trial. They can take it to appeal. He may be fighting this for the rest of his, probably going to be fighting this one way or another for the rest of his life. But this is the lessons that we need to really understand why Black unification is so important.
Integration was the worst thing that happened to us after slavery, honestly. And I'm not sorry to say it. It's the worst thing that happened to us because not only did we integrate physically, but we integrated mentally. The fact that his parents sought out a white attorney as opposed to a Black one because they thought it could help him. How do you know how cooked your mindset has
I'm sure
to
as a mother,
be?
she had to weigh in a few options before she made to that decision because
Yes,
she's looking at her community. She's looking at her demographic. She's looking at what's going
that
on.
decision is rooted in racism because you really thought that a white person was going to do better by your Black son than a Black person.
Yeah.
And that is the result of integration and wanting to be adjacent to white people. We never will be adjacent to white people. We'll never be that. We should always be, again, like you said, uplifting our own, investing in our own, surrounded by our own. Integration was the worst thing that ever happened to Black people after slavery.
And I ain't really worried about the watermelon felon comment.
Yeah,
like,
who cares?
I don't care about that. But what I care about is ensuring that we can survive in America so that we have the tools and processes and protocols that we know how to survive. Because we've seen this with Trayvon Martin. We've seen this with Eleanor Bumpurs back in the day. Like we can go on and on and on about Blacks who have either been killed at the hands of white oppression or have been arrested, convicted, and sent away at the hands of white oppression. Right? So this is an old story made anew again by just another example. We got to wake up and say, listen, we're going to minimize our opportunity for liability in that space and just be intentional about it.
And the white perpetrators never get convicted. Zimmerman is still alive.
Zimmerman is still alive.
That Asian man that killed
Rick Chow.
Rick Chow
He
has
got the
not been
police
convicted for killing that Black boy
In Columbia,
over
South
a bottle
Carolina.
of water that he
Yeah.
didn't even steal.
Yeah.
No water found. Yeah.
And these people we're integrated with them. They're in our communities. Rick Chow got a store in a Black community.
Black community.
It makes no sense. Integration is the worst thing that ever happened to
my
our
father used
people.
to say something. My father used to say, if Black people got together in America and had a meeting and decided in this meeting that they were all going to leave America and go to Africa or go wherever, but leave America, every Black person, and whites found out about that meeting, they'd close all the airports. They shut down all the ports. They'd close the border. They would demand that you stay.
And if we actually made it to Africa, they would follow us there and buy up all the land and buy up all the businesses so that we would have to be in the same place we are right now, paying them for everything. Like Black people, when these racists get online and they say, "Oh, go back to Africa," you would never allow that.
Never.
We spend too much money in America. This American economy would collapse without Black people.
Definitely.
So they would never allow. So all that racist watermelon fried chicken, go back to Africa. That means absolutely nothing. Just don't care about that. Like it means nothing.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question before we move on? Like as a panel of 4 Black people, right? Looking at like the situation, the case as a whole. Once again, playing devil's advocate for lack of a better term. Just looking at the case, is there a conversation that maybe needs to be had on teaching our kids and our children how to react in certain situations where they know, like, should something happen, you're going to get a fair shake because of how the world and society and community looks at you. We're already criminalized from the jump, right?
Yeah.
So looking at the case, this is where, and God bless a young white man, Austin lost his life, so with that's horrible. But is there a deeper conversation we need to have as to, like, basically preparing our children how to carry themselves when they deal with conflict, maybe in a situation where there's not a lot of us there, where they are the minority. If they go to, like, a predominantly white school, or they're in predominantly white spaces and have to interact with white kids and deal with situations, is there a conversation we need to have on how we need to react in those spaces?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because we're already integrated. Unfortunately, yes. You can't defend yourself as a Black person in a predominantly white space.
Yeah.
You have to kind of let whatever's happening. You have to do, like, the bare minimum so that you can't be painted as the aggressor. And it's honestly insane that we even have to have these conversations with our children. But unfortunately, yes, that's the world we live in. Like, if you want to stay alive as a Black person, there are things you need to know about white people, and there are ways you need to act around white people.
Exactly.
But also there has to be go on. Yeah.
I wanted to say, my daughter go to school in Park Slope, and I had to have that conversation with my daughter, like, when she was 5, because predominantly her classmates are white.
Same.
And my daughter has a raspy voice, and she come off a little bit more direct, and the whiter counterparts are more squeaky, like, voice. So when my daughter's talking, they're like, well, why is she talking to me like that? So then now I'm finding out my daughter's 8 years old. My daughter talks like a baby so that she won't sound, her tone can change so she won't sound aggressive. She even wrote that in that little essay. She said, I learned how to change my tone so that I won't sound aggressive. But I had to talk to her a few times because they didn't understand. And I'm talking to the teacher. It's like, is this how the way she speaks? And it's like, she's not speaking any different. It's just, like, we have a little bit deeper voice and a little raspy, but that's what she's doing.
That infuriates me because she can't even grow up to be her full self.
Right.
They don't look at our children as children, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. From birth, they are a threat. Like, as soon as they're out of the cute baby stage where now they can walk and think and talk back, they're a threat. They're not children. They're over-sexualized. Right. They're threatening. Right. They're disposable.
Yeah.
Look, I believe wholeheartedly in Black schools.
Yes.
I went to a all black parochial school, and then I went to Satellite East, which was a predominantly Black junior high school. I went to Brooklyn Tech when it was 38% Black, 22% Latino, so it was a Black school. And then I went to Morgan State. Yeah. Right?
Morgan State, yes.
Right. And so, for us, we both went to Morgan State at HBCU. I think HBCUs are so paramount because they give young Black men and women an opportunity to feel what it feels like to be amongst your own.
It's magical, man.
Right?
It's magical.
And so you go into the world prepared because you understand from whence you come, right? And I think that's of the utmost importance for our Black kids, is for them to constantly see reflections of themselves, teachers that pour into them, staff that pours into them, students, their student base should look and feel like them. I'm very much a product of that. So when you enter the world as a proud Black person. When you present in white America, you don't feel the need to code switch. You are presenting as a Black person. And so, yeah, when you said that really hurts me, because imagine the conversation that your daughter had with herself when she had to make that decision.
Yeah.
Right.
But we discussed it. And she said, I'm tired of them keep saying that I'm talking to so-and-so in a rude way when she's not. So she decided to, like, okay, let me sound like them.
Right.
Basically.
That's the coaching that's the coaching we have to do.
I'm mad at that.
That's the coaching we have to do. You mentioned Trayvon Martin, right? When the whole Trayvon Martin situation happened, right? I was working, I won't say the name of a college. I was working at a private college, owned by people of the Jewish faith, you know, most of the staff, Jewish, Russian. So they were talking about the case, right? And I'm sitting there getting infuriated because some of them say, you know, like when police stop you, you just have to listen. And when you're somewhere you don't belong, or take your hood off. And I'm like, one, George Zimmerman wasn't a police officer, right?
Right.
And they tried to push this narrative like, well, sometimes black people, you bring it on yourselves because when you get pulled over, you talk back, you're aggressive, right? At the time, my son was 3 years old. So I said to them, I said, have any of you had to have a conversation with your 3-year-old about how to act if they're approached by police officers? Everybody got quiet. And I honestly had to have that conversation with my son. And it's ridiculous that I have to talk to a 3-year-old child about things like that because I know what can happen to him if he's not prepared, right? And my son now goes to a school predominantly white. He's 16, and he's had situations where he's with most of his white friends in school. And if anything happens, he's been singled out at times. And I tell him, son, it's not right. And I go up to the school and advocate for him. But I said, this is how your life is going to be as a black man. That's why when you out in this world, you got to know how to react and how to respond. Of course, always being prideful and happy and loud about your blackness, but it's different rules for you. And it shouldn't be the case. And that's why I asked like about the whole Carmelo Anthony thing. Like, our kids have to play by different rules, sadly, because they say, and I don't know if this is true, diving deeper into that case, there was a history of him being bullied by the boy and his twin brother.
Right. Exactly.
But then when you ask people that testified and were witnesses, they said Carmelo was the aggressor. But what does aggression look like?
It looks like
from
being
us?
black.
Yeah,
It just
that's
looks
what
like
it looks
being
like.
Yeah.
You know, standing up for yourself,
Right.
saying, you know what, get out of my personal space or leave me alone. We don't have the liberty to do those things because whenever we do that, we're being aggressive.
Yep.
So, you know, this young man was set up to fail from the beginning. Right when that situation happened, sadly, it was over for him. And even with the jury selection, I also read there were 3 black women that were up for like some of the final jurors. And they were all teachers, right? But they said because of their, you know, their job and their, you know, their situation, they might not be able to be, you know, look at it like objectively because they're teachers and black women. So they, you know,
They was able to get them
Because they would
taken
have
out.
compassion for
Yep.
for a black child.
Of course.
That's why.
Yep. Hearing these stories really pains me, but I really want to speak to the part about going to HBCU. I wish I would have went to HBCU,
Nothing
but
like
I
it.
felt your sentiments on what it feels like to be at HBCU when I went to middle school. So I was always the only black girl in elementary school.
Right.
And it wasn't until I went to middle school, I went to the school in the hood, but they had a great science program. So even in my classes, in that predominantly black school, I was still the only black girl in my classes. But I got to be surrounded by black people at lunch, at gym, my extracurriculars. And that feeling was honestly unmatched. Like, it was so fulfilling to the point that when I left middle school, my mom tried to send me to a high school that's predominantly white on the other side of town. And I fought tooth and nail not to go to that school because I hated being surrounded by white people every single day. Because no matter how close I thought I was, some of the white girls, if they were my friend, they would always show me that they were not my friend. And in some of the most minute ways, right? Ways that you were like, oh, that's nothing. No, that's something.
Yeah.
Like when the teacher tells you, oh, we're doing a group project, pair up. And I look to my white bestie. The teacher just announced it. I look to you, you're already paired.
Of course.
With the girl that's all the way over there. How did you do that?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Microaggression.
like it's like I go to parties and as soon as a hip hop song comes on, everybody looks at me. This your song, right? Do something. Like,
It's crazy.
it was pervasive. Like my soccer team, all white. Like everything was just. So when I got to be around black people, I went and I even got put on punishment for this. My mom had submitted my application to this predominantly white school. I went behind her and typed up a letter and told them to rescind my application.
Wow.
And I'm like 12, 13.
Wow.
I did not want to go to that school so bad because I hated how I felt being surrounded by nothing but white people.
Yeah,
So-
I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. and they go to PS11, and PS11 is a very diverse school. My 10-year-old has activities that are solely like in Black spaces. My 8-year-old is doing drumming. He's again in solely Black spaces. And I think what I want for them more than anything is for them to present in the diverse spaces, understanding that they're enough. Right. So, you know, in New York City, you know, not unfortunately, but in New York City, diversity is so massive now, where any kid that's in a school is dealing with a diverse class body. And that's fine. But for my kids, it's very important that they have the rudimentary sense of self, so that when they present in these spaces, they feel strong enough to sit on their laurels and to stand on their laurels of being Black kids.
Yeah.
I think like even that story, like the stories y'all telling me, I'm thinking of it from the mindset of a child. A 13-year-old wants to rescind an application because of what that means in terms of being around whiteness. Yeah. That's scary when our children have to begin to think that way, right? And that's why I'm a strong proponent of that, man. Like, you know, I think it's important. I think the HBCU, even if like you don't finish at HBCU, like just to be there to experience it gives you the jump pad where now when you in the world, you can feel comfortable presenting as yourself. And they don't want us to have that. They want us to be driven by alignment with them.
To assimilate and, you know, act different.
You know, but I think it, you know, we have to, it goes back to the consumer thing. We got to be intentional about how we spend our dollar. We got to be intentional about what we allow our children to process, right? And how do we feed Blackness into their system and into their soul?
Yeah. But we'll end this episode off with a lighter topic. The Michael biopic. I haven't watched it yet, but it has been. It's
wait, which one?
Don't glaze over that.
The most recent.
Hold on.
Version?
We can't just glaze over that. Wait.
I haven't watched it yet.
Is about to ring. Trump about to fall home.
I haven't watched it yet only because nothing trumps the OG Jackson vibe.
With my man Jason Weaver.
And there's nothing new that they give us when they do these Michael Jackson biopics. They never give us no new information. But it has become the highest grossing biopic of all time, bringing in $911 million. Have you guys seen it? Do you guys think it was the best?
I saw it.
Yeah, I actually went to see it, and I left the movie theater like happy.
Same.
And felt like, damn, I want to be a good person. Like, it was just so many misfortune he was going through, what that was perceived, that I was like, damn, I didn't even know. I honestly did not know about the Pepsi Cola situation. No. So when I was seeing all that, I was like, whoa, is this true? I even Googled it.
Right.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
But like I told my daughter, like, oh, you want to watch, you should go and watch it. And she loved Michael Jackson. And look, this is a big age difference.
That's what it
Michael
does.
Jackson will never die.
No.
He will never die. There are babies.
People
that
love him.
I was on a dollar van, Flatbush.
Of course. You was the cut. Yeah.
And this Black woman was on the phone with her son, who couldn't have been more than like 7 years old, maybe 6 years old. And he was like, are you going to see Michael Jackson? And she was like, no. And he was like, I miss Michael Jackson. And she was like, you don't even know him. And he was like, but I want to be his friend. Like children, this man died when I was 13.
Right.
And children now in 2026 love Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson will never die.
Let me tell you something. So I haven't seen the biopic. My 2 kids have seen it. My 2 kids, and when we get off camera, I'm going to show y'all a video of my son. My 2 kids have become immense Michael Jackson fans, right? I get these shirts. Tony from House of Swag always gives me like these shirts for the summer so I can stay fresh. She gave me 2 Michael Jackson t-shirts. My daughter has commandeered those t-shirts. I'm never going to wear those t-shirts. My son is moonwalking in the house. Michael Jackson is so enigmatic for these kids. Like I was the same way. Like I remember the Pepsi. Let me tell you something. I was a big Michael Jackson fan when I was a kid, right? I was such a big Michael Jackson fan when his hair caught on fire because of the Pepsi commercial. I didn't eat that whole day. I cried that whole day. My mother loves to tell the story because she loves to embarrass her son, right?
That's what they do.
But for me at that age, Mike was everything. I had the Thriller jacket and all that, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that it would dissipate. My kids love this man. And all they know is the movie and the songs. And that's enough to ignite an entire... You're right. Michael Jackson will never die.
Never.
He's like the quintessential like fabric of what a child wants in like a musical person. Like,
it is.
I think it's so inspirational. Like this year, my daughter learned about Michael Jackson. She did a book report about him and all of that. And
well, I saw the musical. The musical was crazy.
The musical was dope too.
The musical was dope. It was dope. Crazy. Musical, you literally are dancing in the aisles, like people are getting up. It's crazy.
That's how though. That's why you got to see the movie. Like for cats like us, once again, who were around during that time. You said you love Michael Jackson. I thought I was Michael Jackson. Birthday parties and all that. I'm like, yo, put Thriller on. I'm doing the moves. I had the little doll, all that, right? So for me, the nostalgia watching the movie was crazy because it was like reliving those things I experienced during my childhood. And to your point, watching his nephew in the role, it was really like watching Michael Jackson. At times, I forgot I wasn't watching Michael Jackson. The dance moves had down packed, his voice, all of that. And then like Michael Jackson is transcending generations. Once again, I saw a clip on Instagram, this 1-year-old little boy, they said he was one. He on the phone. Siri, call Michael Jackson. I want to tell Michael Jackson. I'm Michael Jackson. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And it's beautiful because let's not forget how Michael Jackson, his image had been tarnished for all the allegations. So for kind of a light to be shed on who he was as a person and how good of a person he was, how genius he was as a creative, you know what I mean? His process of writing songs and directing videos, how he advocated for himself as a businessman and creating an empire on his own. You know, after going up against his father, who was very controlling and abusive as a child, like just showing that dynamic of a boy becoming a man and advocating for himself. I was upset when the movie ended. I was like, damn, I wanted to see more. So I think the film was amazing. Now, your question, what was it the best, of all time? I don't know. That's debatable because
the best biopic.
Best biopic.
Rushed.
You think it was rushed?
Yeah, because the timeline was just jumping. You're like, how we got so quickly?
They did. I guess when you're doing film, sometimes you got to fill a lot into a short period of time. That's why I think it's going to be another one, though. I think it's going to be a part two. I think so, the way it ended, and I hear rumblings of that.
Get Elon on
but a biopic that slept on, that I think people sleep on, that New Edition movie on BET, the series.
I was going to ask real quick, what's your favorite biopic?
Ooh, I need some more time. What's Love got to do with it?
Fire. That's a good one.
That's nice.
Fire.
What's yours?
I gotta say, in between, the New Edition joint, and just because the way this brother killed it, man, Jamie Foxx and Ray. And then, damn, I got three. Denzel and Malcolm X. Denzel and Malcolm X. Yeah.
Like, if there is a biopic that embodies the person, it's Denzel and Malcolm X. Like, I left that movie mad. Like, I was upset. Right, so when y'all talk about how you left Michael movie, now you making me want to see it because like that's the note of a good biopic if it elicits that level of emotion. But you're saying it felt rushed too, though, huh?
Only because of the timeline, because so much Michael Jackson have history, and it just felt like it just jumped from like.
Did it go all the way to his death?
No,
that's why I think it's going to be a part two.
Oh,
it's going to be a part two.
Yeah,
it has to be.
It's going to be a part two.
Because I don't know if I'm ready to see that on screen. Like his death, I don't know if I want my kids to see that. Like Michael should be like Peter Pan almost. Like allow him to be forever young and not have to show
so funny
our kids
because
that.
In the movie he wanted to be Peter Pan.
Right. And I think they may have done that on purpose because I don't want, and I didn't ask my daughter or son about it, but they ain't mentioned it. So I was like, oh, well, maybe they ain't show it. But yeah, if they didn't show it, that's great. I don't want a part two. I don't want them to get to that level because then that'll tarnish how our children view him. And I think
I'm going to tell you this. I get you, but it made $911 million. They doing a part two. Yeah, for sure. They definitely doing a part two.
Rebbie Jackson, LaToya Jackson.
No, they ain't doing none of that. They don't care. Nobody care about that. Jackson.
Yes,
but I want a stop to be put to all of like the stats and like the chatter around like other artists breaking his records. He's dead. So Drake breaking his record doesn't fucking matter. He's dead. You know, nobody should be talking about a record that's been broken by someone who's still alive, right? Like, and then also,
we live in a different
hands
era.
down, I love Beyonce, but she's not more famous than Michael Jackson. Nobody is more famous than Michael.
Your phone about to ring again. The Beehive about to call you.
I'm
gonna leave you there.
I think Michael is in a class by himself. For sure. And I think that's cool, right? Because others are also, like Whitney, is in a class by herself, right? I don't care who think they could sing. Don't ever compare her to Whitney Houston. Right?
Not at all.
So, and that's fine because in Black art, we have the ability to do that. We have the ability to have definitive artists. Because like, will there ever even be a Prince biopic? Because that's
what I want to see.
You know what I mean?
Not an official one.
Right.
Not with the truth.
Right. Yeah, it ain't gonna have the truth in it, man.
It may, but it's gonna be done by somebody else if they can even get away with it without getting sued.
Right.
Because Prince don't play that. Prince,
he ain't play it then. He don't play it now.
Nope.
He ain't playing that. But thank you guys so much for coming to what just happened today. I really appreciate all of your commentary. This was episode 14. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hype the video up, do all the YouTube things that need to be done so that we can continue to bring what just happened to you guys every week. Please, it's shameless plug time. So please give your credentials or whatever you want to plug, whatever you want people to check out.
Well, like I said, Javon Johnson, Brooklyn, New York. I don't know if I said that in the beginning, first of all. Yeah, okay, good. But I recently co-wrote and starred in a feature film that we just finished shooting in San Antonio. Damn, we shouldn't. Sorry, I still love the Knicks, but we did shoot in San Antonio. And the film is called Spur of the Moment, which is crazy. But this was before everything transpired. But when you see the film, you'll understand. I'm very proud of it. It should be coming out sometime, next year. So that's like my baby, something I'm so excited and happy to be a part of. And something on a smaller scale, I'll just say, I just started a comedy series. We had the first show last Friday at Comedy in Harlem, only Black-owned comedy club in New York City, called Healing Through Laughter, when we try to bring the community together for a free comedy show with a diverse lineup, just to, come together and laugh and like heal through, comedy and have a good time and fellowship together. So it's my two most important things right now.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm going to come check that out in Harlem.
Please do.
I'm Susie. I go by Susie from BK. I talk about things happening in Brooklyn. I'm trying to bring Brooklyn back alive again. I'm past people, we have so many events happening, but it's time, somebody like me to get the baton and talk about these things happening in Brooklyn. And I created a whole platform. Visit my page, susiefrombk.com. I have events all lined up, over 500 events every week is getting updated. And I also do like kind of influencing promo for events that is happening for the week or weekend. If you don't know where to go, hit me up. I could give you some recommendations. So I don't want to just consider myself as a influencer, but more of like a Brooklyn media house. I do a little bit of everything, interviewing, anything. So
Brooklyn curator.
Brooklyn curator.
How y'all doing, Pocket? All right,
my brand can attest to that. My brand definitely got some Susie effect on it. That last Stoop set had a little Susie effect on it. Yeah, so as I said, I'm one of the founders of Stoop Set Block Party Series, and so we're going to be going through the summer. The next one is actually Saturday, June 20th on Franklin. Shout out to Franklin Avenue, Open Streets, Bridge Street Development. And I'm running for state senate. The polls are open now. Early voting has started yesterday. So primary is June 23rd. If anybody wants to look at my platform, they can find it at marlonriceforny.com, FORNY.com. And, I'm just going to continue to be who I am, which is a community servant, somebody who is a connector in community. So you can follow me on IG at Marlon Rice, you know what I'm saying? And let's get to work. We have a lot. The thing, I love us. Like, we have an amazing cultural canon in Brooklyn where every week there are people curating amazing examples of Blackness. And I'm just happy to be a part of that.
Yeah. Indeed. I would never move to Manhattan.
Yeah. Never. Vote for me and let's go find Elon.
Yeah.
E-O.
That got to be the new campaign slogan. Let's find Elon. For sure.